After a bad loss to Ryan Garcia, Boxing Ego brings you the bad news regarding a Devin Haney rematch, or Devin Haney getting the rematch with Ryan Garcia.
We just heard Ryan say, sure, we'll run this fight back. Is a rematch something you'd like to do next?
Of course. I thought it was a close fight still. I would love to rematch. I gave him a shot. It's only right he give me a shot back.
That was Devin Haney immediately after his fight with Ryan Garcia. Face was very lumped up. Looked kind of like Martin when he fought Tommy Hearns. He says, I thought the fight was close. I disagree with that 1000%. I don't think the fight was close at all. Devin's best rounds paled in comparison to anything Ryan was doing. And in fact, there was a lot of chippy moments where there wasn't real, like, credible action. I think the best punch that Devin landed through the whole fight was in the third round. He caught Ryan, drove Ryan back, and Ryan had to, bite the mouthpiece a little bit and, kind of woke Ryan's game up. But nothing too bad where Ryan Garcia was on spaghetti legs. Nothing at all close to his legs when Ryan connected his hooks and, his harder shots. So Devin is saying he wants a rematch, and there's several problems with that. He says, I gave him a shot, so I think it's only right that I get a shot. So for me, I don't prefer to see rematches when the fight wasn't close. And I just told you this fight wasn't close. Furthermore, this is Devin Haney and what he replied with when Team Lomachenko said they wanted a rematch to a fight that was close. Aegis Klimas, who is the manager of Vasily Lomachenko, he tweeted, Devin, wow, you got correct information. We did go to the hospital and we was looking for you just to make sure you are okay, as you've been punched so many times into your head. But we've been told the ambulances took you to a different hospital. We was worried about you. They ask him, Team Lomachenko says, how about a rematch? Are you scary? This was at 11:36 p.m. August 31st, 2023. How about a rematch? Are you scary? To which Devin replies, I was at home having a threesome. What on earth does that have to do with anything? So they're asking Team Lomachenko in a close fight, they're asking you for a rematch. Initially, someone said Devin Haney's body work played a key role in defending the undisputed title against Vasily Lomachenko. He says, do your homework. Loma went to the hospital after the fight, but they don't want you to know that. So he's saying he put Lomachenko in the hospital, right? And then that's where we get to what I just read. Team Lomachenko says you were at the hospital too. It was basically a different hospital the ambulance took you to because Loma was getting off on you in the later rounds. How about a rematch? Scary. And you have Devin Haney saying, I was at home having a three-way. Weird response. So that's the initial thing. The world of boxing, at the very least, thought Devin Haney versus Lomachenko was close. I told you guys that I thought the fight was a draw. It was close, and I said I wasn't, if you had it close either way, I wasn't really tripping. It was just a close fight. Devin, good body work early. I thought he captivated the early rounds, but then Lomachenko did what he did, like versus Teofimo and Jermaine Ortiz, where he started coming on strong and crescendoing. And he was badly hurting Devin Haney as well. This was at 135. So a pretty immature response from Devin Haney when Lomachenko and his team asked for a rematch. Devin Haney then goes to 140, vacates the belts, and says, I'm out of here. So here we are. That's one thing. Devin is asking for a rematch in a fight that really wasn't close. It wasn't close at all with Ryan Garcia. And as far as I'm concerned, the fight should have ended in a knockout because either Bill Haney should have thrown in the towel or referee Harvey Dock should have been like, you know, live to fight another day type of thing. Devin was badly hurt. He was getting rocked. There were some long counts in there, etc. The other bad news for Devin Haney regarding a rematch with Ryan, outside of what I just said and the fight not being close and getting stopped, is I put this, and make sure you guys follow me on Twitter, X. All the people complaining about Ryan Garcia's weight miss, let's ask some real questions here. How come Team Haney had Bill Haney and Eddie Hearn like overseeing Devin's career, looking out for Devin's best interest, but they didn't have a rematch clause in place for their champion? So this is just terrible business. You have a champion, WBC champion, and there's no rematch clause versus Ryan Garcia. So this was before he missed weight or anything. This is like from the inception of the fight, there was no rematch clause. As you guys see on the screen, Oscar De La Hoya corroborated that. Oscar De La Hoya says this Haney Garcia does not have a rematch clause, right? So there was never a rematch clause for this fight. As you guys see, Haney Garcia does not have a rematch clause. So my question is, people keep addressing Ryan missing the weight. He missed weight. He paid the penalty. Y'all renegotiated. Fight on. Bad management from the team. And I said Tank Davis, his team had that safeguard, a rematch clause, just in case Ryan Garcia beat their star fighter. It's usually standard issue. Although Tank obviously didn't need it because he stopped Ryan Garcia. Devin Haney is the WBC champion. Why didn't you add a rematch clause to the contract? And this is a previous video that I did. You guys see it. Gervonta Davis possesses a one-way rematch clause in the super fight for Davis versus Garcia, not a bilateral, according to the latest info. In this video, I explained Gervonta Davis only is guaranteed that rematch clause. Ryan Garcia has no guaranteed rematch clause options if he loses. So what does all this mean? In layman's terms, this means Tank's team was smart enough to add a one-way, at least a one-way rematch clause, meaning if Tank got knocked out or beat by Ryan Garcia, he can exercise a rematch should he choose. That's because you want to protect your star. Like Canelo probably has a rematch clause in the event that Jaime Munguia beats him. It's not that you're scared or you think you're going to lose, but it's nice to have that option in case you lose. So let's recap this. And this is the bad news. So Team Haney entered the Ryan Garcia fight. They had no rematch clause versus Ryan Garcia in an event that he won, should have been by knockout. They did not elect to do a customary same-day weigh-in when Ryan Garcia missed weight by 3.2 pounds. So Ryan missed weight. You could have tried to negotiate a next day same weigh-in if you were so concerned about him being heavy, but you didn't. And I got another video coming on that, so hit the subscribe button. You gave Ryan Garcia the lion's share of money. This has been confirmed by both Devin and Bill Haney. Ryan got the 55% split while they took the 45%. So in the first fight, this means that not Devin, the WBC champion, but the challenger who's never been a champion, Ryan Garcia, was the A side. So Bill Haney told the whole world his son was the A side in the face of boxing, and they sent Tank Davis a $20 million offer. Tank is bigger and is the A side of both Haney and the guy he beat, Ryan Garcia. So how are you sending a $20 million offer because you wanted to fight Tank if you're not even the A side versus Tank's leftovers, which is Ryan Garcia? In addition, you put two West Coast fighters on the East Coast to fight. Why did Team Haney move like this without any of the standard safeguards in place for their champion? You guys keep talking about Ryan. Well, there's a few people that keep talking about Ryan Garcia missing weight, but these are a lot deeper and a lot less low-hanging fruit questions that I have Why no rematch clause? Why no same weight in? If you were concerned about Ryan, you gave him 24 hours to rehydrate from the morning where he weighed in all the way to fight night on Saturday. You guys didn't think to do any of these things. And here's the other kicker, why it's bad news for a Devin Haney rematch. If Ryan Garcia was the A side in the first fight, after the job he did on Devin Haney, he has to be the A side in the second, because this fight made him bigger. Now, I know Devin Haney's team came out with the Mexicans for Haney shirt, and La Raza, Ryan Garcia is not La Raza, but Ryan won the respect of boxing fans the way he performed. He acted a fool, and then he had his way on fight night. So if anything, we know how the game goes. People like winners. Ryan did what he wanted. He broke all the rules, said he was drinking, said he was sleeping around with, different women and orange stars, all these types of things. And then he also had the most devastating moments of the fight. He was dropping Haney left and right. He hurt him numerous times, busted his lip, fractured his jaw, it looked like. He was rocking him. He was throwing dazzling hand speed. People have no choice but to respect what Ryan Garcia did. So I said the bottom line is Team Haney, despite having a 3-3 record in the amateurs with Ryan Garcia, they did not think Ryan would win as a pro. They underestimated King Rye. They kept telling you Ryan's gonna quit. He's a C+ fighter, which is a stolen Mayweather quote. Devin said, I'm gonna show you that there's levels to this and I'm levels above you. Another very similar to something Floyd Mayweather would say quote. He said, Ryan's antics will betray him. Also sounds like something Floyd would say, despite the Haneys dissing Floyd all the time and saying that Mayweather ish is over, right? He says that Ryan is a drunk. Ryan is a coke lord, a coke head. He said Ryan hasn't improved since the amateurs, and I've improved so much. They said Ryan's never been a champion. They said we plan to KILL Ryan in the ring, and we're going to do it Ivan Drago style. If he eyes, he eyes. They said, we dare you, Ryan, to meet in the center of the ring. So this is just a summary of how Team Haney acted, and it doesn't sound like they gave Ryan Garcia much of a chance. So now they've put themselves through all of the bad business decisions and failures. They put themselves in a very tight space. You have a fighter who took severe punishment and the world got to see it. You didn't give Vasily Lomachenko a rematch, and now you want Ryan Garcia to give you a rematch. And here's the other thing. Post-fight, Ryan said he can't make 140. He said that's over. He's on top of the world. He was already acting crazy. He was already acting like, uncontrollable. And then he did this to you. So his star power grows, as I mentioned earlier. And now Devin Haney is asking for a rematch that really there's not a need for one. I'm not big on rematches happening when the first fight looks like this. This should have been stopped. His eyes are rolling in the back of his head, right? So Ryan truly holds all the cards. And Ryan is saying that he can't make the weight anymore. He's calling out all these other names, some in higher weight classes, saying he can't go lower than 145. He might go to welterweight. So even if Ryan does decide to fight Haney, they have severely, and I do mean severely, messed up the business by not putting some of these safeguards in there, right? You didn't put the safeguards in place, so you have no rematch clause, so you can't force Ryan Garcia to rematch you. You have a history of not giving on other opponents like Lomachenko. You didn't give him a rematch in your close fight. So the Ryan fight wasn't close and you want a rematch. The Loma fight was close and you never rematched him. I see they're in a difficult position. Like I said earlier, Ryan in the first fight, when he hadn't been a champion, he had quit versus Tank. They said he was a C+ fighter. Despite all these things from Team Haney, Ryan was still in the driver's seat in negotiations, despite Haney being the champion. And I told you guys this. I said, belts don't matter in 2024. You think Ryan's next fight, people are going to be like, oh, I'm not going to watch Ryan's next fight because he doesn't have the WBC belt or the WBO, or he's not an IBF champion, or he's never been a champion. I told you guys this. Everything I said has now come true and is in your face. Tank and Ryan did the best numbers last year, over 1 million sold, over a $20 million gate, and they didn't have a belt on the line because the fight was at a catchweight. I keep saying these things. I'm the best in the business, and it's not even close. Come to my channel if you want great boxing talk and reliable information that you could take to the bank. So as far as I see it, the Haneys are in a very difficult position. And the Ryan rematch, who knows? Ryan is so all over the place, and he's clearly in the driver. He was in the driver's seat in the first negotiations. So he'll still be in the driver's seat given how he won. And he beat the Haneys. He beat the ref. He beat the judge with the horrible scorecard. He's on top of the world. So you can't really be mad at that. And it shows you the level of arrogance from Team Haney that they thought their ish didn't stink and they didn't need to protect themselves in any type of way with the pin, meaning in the contract. Oh, we don't need a same day weigh-in. Who cares? We'll beat him. Oh, we don't need a rematch clause. It's going to be a once and done. And then now that you failed to put these safeguards in place just for that added precaution, you don't have them in place, and now you can't control what happens next. Ryan could clearly and freely and legally move up to 147, and you couldn't stop him. You would not be able to stop him from doing that legally. Whereas if you and Bill Haney and Eddie Hearn and Team Haney had thought ahead or thought you were truly in the driver's seat as champions, you would have worked that into the contract some way. But I truly believe you should never underestimate your opponent. And I think they did that to King Ryan. And Ryan, despite acting bizarre at times, acting peculiar, acting livid and enraged. I mean, every gamut of emotions Ryan showed. He posted TikToks where he was crying. He looked aggressive. He was passive aggressive. Sometimes he was jovial and dancing, singing. Sometimes he was rapping. He did a little bit of everything in this particular buildup. And Bill had that book, which was funny. Bill Haney carried a book to the press conference trying to be witty, and it was Bill Haney holding a book that said Psychology for Dummies. Y'all see that? Psychology for Dummies, right? What's so funny about this? It's funny that Bill Haney, you know, with the suit and tie, is holding a book, Psychology for Dummies, and then he gave it to Ryan Garcia, who took it and threw it, you know, as soon as he handed it to him. But the thing is, you try to taunt Ryan and basically say, here, you need to step up your psychological warfare game. But the irony is, all the weird, bizarre stuff that Ryan Garcia did for this buildup, it clearly worked because it got under your skin and it had you and your team fighting the wrong style of fight versus Ryan Garcia. It had you saying stuff like this.
Boxing, he didn't disrespect the people. He didn't disrespect the sport. And if he dies, he dies. Just like Drago said, this ain't no game. I'm sending my son to go kill him.
So Ryan clearly was doing this stuff that looked like it was seemingly hurting the promotion. We'll see what the numbers come back as. And it clearly got under Haney's skin. And it took a person who whose chin might be questionable and power is limited, especially at 140 in the higher weight classes, because it was limited at 135, and it had you fighting like Tim Bradley fought Ruslan Provodnikov. So as far as the psychological for dummies, Ryan played it and successfully trolled the whole world because everybody thought he was off his rocker and most people thought he was going to get cooked and beat up. And then come to find out, scenes from the fight look like this. So Ryan Garcia clearly outsmarted a lot of people, and in the process, he gained a lot of fans in doing it. So now he's in the driver's seat for sure. He was the A side in the first fight, got to be the A side in the second fight, and the Haneyacks, they're left trying to pick up the pieces and explain this away and find a way to fault Ryan Garcia because he came overweight. Now, I don't condone lacking professionalism. Be clear. Ryan made a boo-boo. He made a mistake by not making the contracted weight. But I told you guys this before the fight. Ryan has never fought at 140 against a 140 pounder. So why would your team see this and then not put in these safeguards before it happened? And you guys were saying stuff like he's probably going to come in heavy. So if you knew that was a thing, why wouldn't you get that on paper that, hey, there's going to be severe, like I would put penalties, like if you're dealing, like for example, people who are dealing with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., he was so unreliable in terms of like making the weight that you could put in like severe penalties if you're a Canelo. Hey, if you come in heavy, we're taking 10 mil out your purse. You know, something that will really hurt you. Because Ryan just ate the 1.5 million, bet on himself, and they said he made 10 to 12 million. So the psychological warfare was definitely won by Ryan Garcia. And that's just what it is. And it's just shocking to show you how inept the team moved in this one, considering that Devin is a good fighter and entered this fight as a champion. You're in there with this loose cannon, if you will, Ryan Garcia, yet you have no rematch clause. You didn't make him do a same-day weigh-in. Before the fight even start, you knew Ryan, when he was fighting Fortuna, that was at a catch weight. When he was fighting Oscar Duarte, that was at a catch weight. Like, so his recent fights outside, the Tank fight was at a catch weight too. So he's been fighting at a catch weight, but I'm talking about fights at 140. He was fighting against 940 pounders and he was fighting them at catch weights. Why would you not think ahead that weight could come into the fold here? Because if you got anybody who watches my channel, and leave me a comment if you remember me saying this before, even before Ryan Garcia started acting crazy, I told you, pay attention to the weight of both these fighters. These guys come in exceptionally heavy, things like that, right? So this is just all like mishaps from Team Haney, and now they're quote unquote begging for a rematch that they may not get. So look, this is the fight with Oscar Duarte. He came in at 143 again, right? And then he did it again, 143, 143.2 or whatever, right? So seeing how his fight in December, he didn't get down to 140, why would you not have anything in place that already outlined the penalties? Why are you making last minute bets at the final press conference the week of the fight and having to renegotiate and kind of figure it out? This was something easy to forecast, that weight could be an issue for both of these fighters. So it just seems like these details would have already been kind of laid out and thought of. But the moment you accepted Ryan's money, the 1.5 million as a penalty, and said fight on, then you can't cry about it. You can't cry about it after. So we'll see what happens, but Devin Haney getting a rematch is definitely not certain. And that's the bad news.